Alright, so this week's topic is about acceptance in the LGBT community versus the straight cis community that I've been in, the two communities I've been in. And so most of it stems back to my dating experience and my work experience and friendships experience. So, and with dating, I I feel more comfortable going to a straight club or ambiguously straight queer welcoming club. So like the indie club here. Um, Most of it is it's just that as long as I pass, I feel comfortable. I haven't had an outing experience yet, but I sometimes if I dance with a stranger, or like a stranger, I will feel a little cautious. Um, if I go to a queer club or anything of that sort, I'm afraid that I will get mistaken as a you know an Asian gay twink male because I'm basically hairless and smaller than most males. So when I'm on OKCupid, um, I've had mixed responses, mostly because I'm not out on there as trans, so I my profile is male single, and I have I've been mostly approached by a queer woman in that sense. And with Pride, being around the queer individuals at school, it's mostly a very insensitive experience because most people will approach me and be like, will ask me questions because I'll be the first trans person and ask me, what was your name before, and then I'll have to explain to them that that's kind of a rude question and kind of like a burnout trying to explain to everyone everything. But everyone's usually accepting at the end. And at work, um, I've gone to work in DC this past summer, and that's the federal agency that I worked at. They're pretty good about handling my accommodating my my gender identity. So when I applied for my whole API internship, the whole time I had to explain to them in an interview that I identify as trans and I didn't change my name legally yet and everything. So I had to tell my employer that, the place that hired me, my placement, and they're pretty good about trying to keep everything private and confidential. And I don't think that I I wasn't out to anyone in my office, and it was definitely a straight cis environment. And but the supervisors that handled my confidential information were really good about it, and especially in federal agencies, I've had to do a lot of work researching, and the EEOC usually treats transgender employees. So I was one of them as more like a medical transition and something that should be covered because EEOC had passed something that covers trans employees, and so it's treated as a medical issue, and I think that's why that the trans community is a little bit more of a. It's not like a more under. It's not like it's more accepted in straight cis communities. It's more like okay, like you're changing yourself medically, so it's we there's proof in a way that from medical professionals that it's kind of more okay than as opposed to like you're queer and like there's no medical thing, and I don't know how I feel about that personally, but it's kind of just the experience that when I go to work, there's something to back me up, and I mean it it's complicated. I don't know how I feel about it, but it's like a double-edged sword. So it's more like a medical thing. And when I go to my friend circles, I haven't had any problems. Like when I meet new people and they find out that I'm trans, I haven't had any huge problems with acceptance. And I hang out with like both queer and straight cis circles. So it's really not a huge issue. As for connecting them, like they're both pretty meshed together because I've had a lot of ally friends, and I mean I don't usually hang around Pride a lot, so because of the fact that I don't want to go there and them think of me as, or people categorize me, or when I go to the gay club here, categorize me as just like a gay twink Asian male. And so going into the queer community, I have had instances where older gay men, like API men, have come up to me and say, hey, I love planning with tranny boys. And so that's kind of like, it's flattering, but at the same time very creepy to get, because essentially I'm being fetishized. And so it's like I'm a toy and I'm objectified. So I don't really enjoy that at all. And I mean, I am sex positive, but don't really enjoy the whole fetishizing thing, and as me being just one of their escapades. So it's very mixed, but oftentimes I don't enjoy the idea that lesbians, not all, but there will be a few lesbians that will be attracted to me, and I figure out that they're not being attracted to me, they're being attracted to my body, my genitalia, and how I look, but not really. But I think of it as more like I'm a pre what everything guy, and they're okay with that, and they're still gonna identify as lesbian. So I don't. I am aware of that, and I do keep a lookout for myself if those issues arise. So that's the kind of people that would approach me, and then there's straight cis females that are cautious to approach me and will hold back. So it's a different response and dating schemes, and it's all linked back to genitalia. And even though they will call you a he and everything, it's more of a reluctant to approach because they don't want to get into that issue. And so it all links back to the genitalia. And yeah, dating is a whole thing because it's like opening up to a whole new topic and discussion. So I find that more queer people will approach me and less straight people. So even though there's acceptance on both sides, in both circles, and everything in between. So, and yeah, that's mostly my experience with acceptance in the two communities.